Tonight, Regina Fire concludes its investigation into a deadly carbon monoxide leak. Regina Public Schools moving ahead with a centralized band program. And a Saskatchewan developed a blood test that could lead to faster Parkinson's diagnoses.
Live from our studios in Regina, this is CTV News.
Good evening. Lee returns tomorrow. We're learning more about what happened leading up to a fatal carbon monoxide leak in Regina's downtown last year that resulted in the death of an 11-year-old boy just before Christmas. Jacob Carr has the details from the now complete investigation by Regina Fire and Protective Services.
4 months after 11-year-old Henry Losco died from carbon monoxide poisoning in his downtown apartment, Regina Fire and Protective Services is releasing the cause of the leak.
So what happened was a delayed ignition with the boiler, which caused a subsequent explosion within the device, which dislodged and blew apart venting equipment.
The manufacturer of the boilers has now issued a safety notice warning people to discontinue using the boiler immediately, advising them to install an upgrade kit that involves a new control board and ignition electrode. But for Henry's parents, the notice is of little solace.
Too little, too late. If they knew that there was something wrong with these, and there's been a history with these boilers, they should have recalled them all.
Henry's parents, through the provincial NDP, are pushing the Saskatchewan government to update current legislation so that it is required for working carbon monoxide alarms to be present in each room of a multi-unit residential building.
We are looking at introducing a bill. I know I'm restricted in talking about the contents of that bill, but we are hoping to introduce legislation on this next week.
No child should ever have to endure that, nor should any family, Mr. Speaker. The report was released today. We are still going over that report, Mr. Speaker. We will continue to review the building codes and requirements alongside the report to ensure that we are providing safe places for people to live in this province.
In the meantime, Henry's parents have added a new permanent roommate to their dwelling, a golden retriever puppy named Benjamin, Henry's middle name.
My son always wanted a golden retriever, so this is one of the ways that we are going to honor my son. And we're happy, even though our sadness, he can feel our sadness. This puppy feels our sadness.
Henry's parents say they have hired a lawyer and are looking to not only change carbon monoxide legislation, but also create laws that more severely punish violations of building codes and laws. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
Saskatchewan-based Manette Farms has filed for court protection as it continues to restructure its business. The application was filed in Calgary earlier this week. In a letter to landowners and leasing partners, Daryl Manette, the president of Manette Farms, described the move as a court-supervised restructuring process that will allow the farm to continue operating while it stabilizes finances and restructures its debt. Manette owns and leases more than 400,000 acres of farmland and is one of the largest private farming operations in the world. Acting RM of Sherwood Reeve, Ray Orb, says the government-appointed interim council is hoping to bring stability to the RM as it focuses on what's next for local residents.
Council is very, I think, is very pleased. They're more relaxed than they were before, and I think they can see, of course, that we're heading in the common direction. The people that were appointed, it was a steep learning curve. There's no doubt about that. But we're experienced councillors. Many of us were on council before or in administration, and so we knew the kind of the lay of the land. We knew there were some problems at the RM of Sherwood prior to this data center even being talked about. So we're fitting in that role as best we can.
Orb added he's optimistic with the realigned direction of council. The interim council was appointed after the municipality's Reeve and 3 of its councillors suddenly resigned in mid-March. Orb added he's optimistic with the realigned direction of council. The Regina Public School Division is moving ahead with a centralized band program at Dieppe School, despite renewed concerns from the advocacy group Save the Regina Public Schools band program. Participation in school band has declined, with 41% of grade 6 students enrolled and fewer than 20% remaining by grade 8. Officials say the new model will improve access and engagement, but some worry the change could create new barriers for families and is urging the board to reconsider. Renovations at Dieppe School are already underway, with new music center set to open in the fall. A room in the Saskatchewan Legislative Building has been renamed in honor of our province's war heroes. A large meeting room on the second floor will now be known as the Hall of Valor. Retired Brigadier General Cliff Walker and Premier Scott Moe did the honors in unveiling the new name today. The room contains shadow boxes showing photos and stories of the 15 men who have been awarded the Victoria Cross for their conspicuous bravery and extreme devotion to duty in the presence of the enemy.
An incredible feeling, a feeling of gratitude towards the Premier and to the Leader of the Opposition for the unanimous support. It's been a long time coming. It certainly is a tribute, I think, to the generation of today, and as I said, when we're long gone, I'm sure there are going to be people who have felt that this has always been, the Hall of Valor.
The last time a Canadian was awarded the Victoria Cross was World War II. Saskatchewan is leading the charge to have some more recent military awards reconsidered and potentially upgraded to a Victoria Cross. Sierra D'Souza Butts joins us tonight, filling in the Weather Center for Sabine. Sierra, over the last 24 hours, we went from very warm temperatures, and then that wind picked up, and since then it's started to creep down.
It's slowly transitioning us to what's to come for the beginning of the weekend into the rest of the weekend, I should say. So we should be prepared at this point, but today was really nice and warm, kind of feeling more like that spring season, as we did feel that stayed at the highest of that plus 20, which is, again, that seasonal temperatures for the springtime. Compared to the other last year, I should say, we were warmer today, with last year being that 13 plus and the lowest being that 1. We didn't reach the all-time record of being that plus 29 in 1989, and then the lowest being minus 17 in 1909. In terms of today, like Cole said, it started out really nice and warm, but that wind continued to pick up as we headed into just the afternoon. Current temperatures right now still warm in that southern part of the province. Moose Jaw seeing that plus 22 and Regina seeing that plus 21 right now, but I'll have more for you in our full forecast later in the show.
All right, thanks, Sierra. An inmate has died following an altercation with other inmates at Saskatchewan Penitentiary in Prince Albert. Correctional Services of Canada says the altercation happened yesterday and involved inmates from the maximum security unit. The inmate who died in the incident has been identified as Horace Bear. 2 other inmates were injured and taken to an outside hospital for treatment. No staff members were injured. The maximum security unit was locked down and operations were adjusted for both safety and for the RCMP and Correctional Services of Canada to conduct an investigation. RCMP say the death is considered suspicious and is being investigated by its homicide unit. RCMP say a situation where someone may have been forcibly confined in a vehicle has now ended and all involved are safe. Early this afternoon, Broadview RCMP received a report someone was possibly being held in a blue SUV against their will in the Grenfell area. The vehicle was then spotted in the Indian Head and Fort Capel detachment areas, driving at high speeds, followed by RCMP. The SUV stopped north of Fort Capel, where a man and a woman were arrested without further incident. Police say the incident was not random, but cannot provide more information right now as the investigation continues. A drug alert has been issued for Regina, with 140 overdoses reported so far this month. Regina Fire says multiple overdose calls have resulted in loss of consciousness and cardiac arrest, needing CPR and advanced emergency medical treatment. Several samples tested in the city were positive for fentanyl and benzodiazepines. Other unknown substances could also be circulating. In some cases, multiple doses of naloxone were needed, but not always effective, given the mix of opioids and other substances. It was an emotional day at Saskatoon Court of King's Bench. The final person convicted in the killing of a Saskatoon woman has been sentenced. Stacey Hine has more on the sentence and what it means for the victim's family.
Family and friends of Megan Gallagher hold each other tightly after the final sentence was handed down.
We don't have to go to court anymore. Our lives will change dramatically, I think.
48-year-old Roderick Sutherland is one of 7 people convicted in Gallagher's 2020 death. During Sutherland's trial, court heard Gallagher died in his garage after being tied to a chair and beaten. Her remains were found 2 years later near the village of St. Louis. Sutherland has been sentenced to 7.5 years in prison, 5 years for manslaughter and 2.5 years for offering an indignity to human remains. With credit for time under release conditions, he will serve 5 years behind bars.
Sentencing in circumstances where there's been a loss of a life is very difficult. You can't put a value to a life, but we think that the judge did a good job of balancing all the factors that he was required to do so.
I think the decision today recognizes, as we have always argued, that Rod Sutherland was integral in ensuring that Megan Gallagher was confined in that garage and ultimately killed.
Gallagher's father says the sentences in this case don't match the brutality of her death.
The truth about the sentences doesn't reflect that.
Her mother voices frustration with the justice system.
To all Indigenous women and men, you will not find justice in the legal system. Do what you can to protect yourselves and speak out and help us reform the system.
Gallagher's family is remembering her as selfless and caring.
She wanted the best for everybody and those around her. She loved everybody as if they were family.
Looking ahead, Gallagher's family says they plan to start a foundation in her honor to advocate for victims and amplify their voices. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
A missing man in the Kamsack area has been found dead. Police say based on preliminary investigation, his death is not considered suspicious. The 40-year-old man had been missing from Kamsack since February. RCMP thanked the public for their assistance. Asbestos cement water pipes were back up for discussion at Regina City Hall today. According to Health Canada's draft guidance published earlier this year, the majority of these pipes were installed decades ago between the 1940s and 1970s. Their breakdown can lead to the release of fibers, but Health Canada maintains there's no consistent, convincing evidence that oral exposure to asbestos causes adverse effects in humans or animals. The discussion in Regina was reignited by a motion from Councillor Shannon Zakidniak seeking to expedite the replacement of asbestos cement water pipes in Regina.
In the world, there's a debate about inhaling asbestos and ingesting asbestos. And when I discovered that there are close to 600 kilometers of asbestos cement water mains in Regina and that they're deteriorating, they're breaking, the asbestos is getting into the water, that poses a concern.
If Health Canada were to come and say, yeah, you know, we've learned some new information on this, then absolutely, I'm confident that as a city we would be taking that information and layering that onto our infrastructure plans.
According to city administration, in 2025, there were 143 water main breaks in Regina. A typical water main repair costs between $10,000 and $15,000. Researchers at the University of Saskatchewan say a new blood test could change how Parkinson's disease is diagnosed. As Carla Shinkaruk finds out, the test may identify aggressive forms of the disease within minutes, potentially years earlier than current methods.
Cost-effective and very rapid.
Researcher Chris Phoenix boasts about his breakthrough research into Parkinson's disease happening here at his lab at the University of Saskatchewan.
These little fluorescent probes are called to measure the enzyme in living human cells. And so we're using that as a sort of diagnostic aid to identify Parkinson's with particularly aggressive symptoms.
This work could transform how doctors detect Parkinson's disease.
Human cells express about 40,000 different proteins, and we got really lucky that our best fluorescent probe that we developed here, it reacts with only one protein. And it took us years to prove that it's only that one protein, but we were able to do it.
The team of about 12 have developed a simple blood test designed to spot the most aggressive forms of the illness fast.
Physicians can use that. They know that this will be difficult to manage. They can start treatments earlier.
And the benefits don't stop there.
our chemical tools are really suited to help develop next generation drugs.
Parkinson's is a neurodegenerative disease that damages dopamine-producing cells, leading to tremors, stiffness, and often cognitive decline. But testing the brain directly is difficult. So Phoenix and his team turned to the blood.
You know, we invented this test. We invented the molecules made in Saskatchewan for Saskatchewan Parkinson's patients. So everything was made from scratch.
For Phoenix, the work is also personal. He says watching his grandmother live with Parkinson's inspired him to pursue this research. He's hoping human trials can begin as early as this summer. Carla Shinkaruk, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Still ahead, trade talks heat up as the U.S. cites certain irritants before negotiations can begin. And the U.K. passes legislation banning anyone 17 or younger from purchasing cigarettes. The United States says certain irritants stand in the way of starting up talks on CUSMA. In response, the Prime Minister saying there are some on the Canadian side as well. CTV's senior political correspondent Mike LeCouture on the sticking points as trade talks heat up.
They just treat us unfairly at every margin they possibly can.
The U.S. Commerce Secretary describing the trading relationship with Canada to fellow American lawmakers. And Howard Lutnick once again brought up a key gripe.
It is outrageous that Canada will not put U.S. spirits on the shelf. It is insulting.
Prime Minister Mark Carney pushed back on any suggestion that Canada has to make concessions to get back to the negotiating table.
It's not a case of the United States dictates the terms. We have the negotiation. We can come to a mutually successful outcome. It will take some time.
A prudent strategy, according to this trade lawyer.
I think where Canada is drawing a line right now is this idea that we're going to give away the house before we even sit down to negotiate. And that puts negotiators in a very difficult situation.
The U.S. has already outlined other irritants, including limited American access to the Canadian dairy market and the Online Streaming Act, which brings American platforms under Canadian broadcast rules.
We've made some counter proposals, which they're aware, and the time will come to really roll up our sleeves.
At the powerful House Ways and Means Committee, U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer said the bigger issue is that the two countries have opposing philosophies on trade.
They're doubling down on globalization when we're trying to correct for the problems of globalization. So those are two models that don't fit together very well.
Canada's approach could become more clear tomorrow at the Parliamentary Committee on Foreign Affairs. That's when we'll hear from Canada's ambassador to the U.S. for the first time. Mike LeCouture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Staying in Ottawa, the Liberals are making a move to give them greater control in Parliament. They plan to increase the number of their MPs sitting at House of Commons committees.
Liberals now have a majority in the House of Commons. In Parliament, there is a long-standing principle. A party that has the majority of seats in the House also has a majority in committees.
The Liberals will soon move a motion changing the rules to ensure they have the most votes on committees. The party insists it won't use the new powers to rush legislation through. The Conservatives call the move a cynical power grab that will make it easier for the government to avoid scrutiny. Air Transat is cutting flights on some routes in the face of the unprecedented fuel crisis. The conflict in the Middle East has already led several other carriers, including Air Canada, to revise some of their plans. Experts warn the summer season travel could be chaotic. CTV's Geneviève Boschman has more.
At the airport, the excitement of travel is dimmed by worries over flight plans.
Well, we booked our trip a long time ago, and so thankfully we got a very good discount. And now, if I was traveling, I think I would probably wait till after summer and see if things calm down and see what happens with the world.
Transat is canceling hundreds of flights, pointing to soaring jet fuel prices and a looming shortage in Europe. It says the changes represent a 6% reduction in capacity, affecting routes in Europe and the Caribbean. The suspension of service to Cuba is extended until October.
I'm just crossing my fingers.
Rebecca O'Sullivan booked a dream European vacation with Transat months ago for her 40th wedding anniversary.
So it's just, I'm in a state of limbo, and I'm sure so many people are in a state of limbo, you know, and there's nothing we can do.
Air Canada and WestJet have also trimmed capacity, while Lufthansa has cut 20,000 short-haul flights. United Airlines said today its prices may have to rise by 20%.
This is the biggest crisis the airline industry has had, bar none.
In Canada, airlines need to rebook passengers on cancelled or delayed flights on the next available one, departing within 48 hours. But that may not be a solution.
If there's no flight to go within 48 hours, what do you do? So refunds are the only thing in town. So there's a bunch of rules that are going to have to be looked at again.
And insurance may not cover other costs, classifying this crisis as an act of war.
Refunding my flight does nothing for me because I still have to pay, quite a bit of money for my tour. So refunding me, I don't want a refund from the airline. I want to get there.
And as airlines pass on some of the expense to travelers, some say they'll just have to stay closer to home. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
An Air Canada jet was involved in a near-miss incident at New York's JFK Airport this week.
Jet 534, climb maintain 3000. Climb maintain 3000, Jet 554.
A Republic Airways flight took evasive action Monday after it missed its intended approach and flew too close to the jet arriving from Toronto. The Air Canada Express flight had been cleared to land and took immediate action after receiving a warning notification as well as direction from air traffic control. The other jet also received an onboard alert. The FAA is investigating. A Quebec man is facing terrorism charges accused of promoting the violent ideology of an extremist group called the 764 Network.
This group is a nihilistic, violent, extremist group that promotes criminal and violent activities. So they go online to basically lure and groom young individuals.
The RCMP says the group targets children and teens on online gaming and social media platforms. 26-year-old Jeffrey Roussel is accused of publishing and promoting graphic, violent, and highly disturbing content. Police are calling on parents to be vigilant when their children are using online spaces and to report any suspicious activity. A landmark policy decision in the UK to impose a lifetime smoking ban on those born after 2008. The tobacco and vaping bill still needs royal assent, but questions are being asked about enforcement. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver has the details on the generational ban.
The United Kingdom is looking to create its first smoke-free generation.
It is, in fact, the biggest public health intervention in a generation, and I can assure all noble lords it will save lives.
Lawmakers in the UK have passed a new bill that will introduce a lifetime ban on buying cigarettes for anyone born after 2008. The aim to prevent youth from developing nicotine addictions.
It's a step in the right direction, and we're really encouraged to see this, hoping that officials in Canada will take note and see what can be done here within our borders to address smoking.
Smoking is the leading cause of preventable death, illness, and disability in Canada. The latest data shows 12% of Canadians aged 15 and older currently smoke cigarettes. Most started before the age of 18. When it comes to vaping, 10% of Canadians aged 20 to 24 and 6.7% aged 15 to 19 report vaping every day.
There's not many things, if anything, that smoking is not going to drastically make worse, which is why I often say smoking is the most harmful thing that you can do for your health. Quitting is the best thing you can do for your health.
The federal government has been asked to consider a very similar proposal before, but so far it hasn't made any moves. Experts hope the UK's bill will change that.
It does have the potential to have a huge impact long term. We are at lower smoking prevalence than we were historically. It makes it more feasible.
Federal law currently prohibits the sale of tobacco products to anyone under the age of 18. And many experts say to further bring down smoking rates, that age should be pushed to 21. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
Coming up, an unexpected regal response for a 5-year-old Ontario girl with a passion for drawing.
Saskatchewan has what the world needs. That's the message we've always gotten, right? Well, in the morning, the new trade office, what they're doing to expand our trade options. We'll find out.
Welcome back to the show. Let's take a look at your full forecast. Well, first, let's take a look at the sky cam. Nice and warm in Regina right now, seeing that plus 19. The wind speeds are starting to pick up at that 41 kilometers as we head into later to tonight and tomorrow. Take a look at that radar and satellite. We can see that it's pretty calm earlier in the day, but those wind speeds did start to pick up. Again, as we head into the weekend, that's going to be the theme. If we take a look at what's to come tonight, that green is much of that rain as we see in that province, that Prince Albert area, as well as Wynyard and Yorkton, is expected to see that rain happening tonight and heading overnight as well. And then as we go into Thursday, that rain in that southeast part will continue in much part of the province, the southern part, central part of the province. It will turn to snow as we head into that afternoon part. And by the time we hit Thursday evening, much of the province will see snow and heavy snow in most parts of the north. As for Regina, we can expect to see about 2-4 centimeters of snow throughout the day on Friday, and that will continue overnight heading into Friday. And throughout the day on Friday, that snow will continue as well on Saturday. The flurries will continue. In terms of how much snow to expect by Thursday evening, I should say, again, that 5 to 10 centimeter range in Regina as well as Moose Jaw. As for Swift Current, we could see about that lower parts, about that 5 centimeters of snow to come leading into the weekend. As we head into Saturday, though, that snow will pick up in terms of how much to see. Saskatoon will see that 31 centimeters of snow. Moose Jaw and Regina, the 15 to 20 centimeters of snow. Swift Current can see up to 20 centimeters of snow by Saturday. In terms of your forecast tonight, La Loche will see a low of -3, a high of -2 tomorrow. La Ronge -4, the high for tomorrow, for tonight, I should say, and for tomorrow, a high of -2. Lloydminster tonight should see a low of -2 and a high of 0. Prince Albert, low of -2 and a high of 0. As for North Battleford, we'll see a low of -1 tonight and a high of +1. Saskatoon, a low of +1, and tomorrow it's still +1. As for Yorkton, a low of +2, and tomorrow we'll see +5. Maple Creek can expect to see a low of -1 and a high of +6. Swift Current, a low of -1 and a high of +3. Moose Jaw, low of -1 and a high of +1. Weyburn, low of +3 and a high of +4. Assiniboia, low of -1 and a +2 tomorrow. As for Estevan, can see not as so cold, low of +6, and tomorrow a +7. As for Regina tonight, still a bit warm, seeing that low of +3 and 2. As for your 5-day forecast in Regina tomorrow, we can expect again to see that light rain throughout the day, changing to snow by the afternoon, with those wind speeds seeing about 45 to 65 kilometers of range. We will see a high of +2 and -6 for Thursday, and for Friday, again, 2 to 4 centimeters is expected to come throughout the day on Friday, and that will continue as we head into Saturday, seeing those flurries and those cooler temperatures. As for Sunday, those warmer temperatures are expected to come back, and as we look into next week, they will appear again as well as the sun. So the snow is expected to stop. We just got to make it through the weekend. And yeah, cool. We just have a couple more days to, get through until we make it back.
Sierra, after getting through everything that you just told us, I don't blame you for almost forgetting that you have to throw back to me. Sabine gave you quite the day to fill in, but you handled it very well.
Thank you very much. And Sabine will be back tomorrow, so she'll have some good news, hopefully.
Hopefully. Well, at least there's light at the end of the tunnel in terms of what's starting to feel like a never-ending winter. Thanks, Sierra. Well, a young girl's passion for drawing paid off with a royal surprise. It came after she sent some of her art to Buckingham Palace. CTV's Karis Mapp reports.
The happiest day due to an unexpected regal response. Grace Connell, like many 5-year-olds, loves to create art and draws inspiration from the world around her.
I just think of something what I could draw and then I draw it on a paper.
So when the royal family piqued her interest, she began her research.
I was asking Mom how I wanted to know how old they were, and then I knew, but when I went to school the next day, my friend was there, and I drew something with her.
With hopes of the picture making it overseas to King Charles himself.
It was actually a drawing of a king and queen and princess that she sent. I didn't take a picture or anything of it because I honestly didn't think we'd get anything back. So I just addressed it to Buckingham Palace and put 6 stamps on it and sent it with our home address.
Sent at the end of February, Grace would then ask her family to check the mailbox every week to see if she got a reply.
After a few weeks, I'd thought maybe I should, use ChatGPT or something to draw up a letter and mail it to her on behalf.
An idea that turned out to be unnecessary.
She had asked to check the mail one more time, which reminded me I hadn't sent the letter. We went to the mailbox with my nephew, and sure enough, there was a letter addressed from the Queen and King, their correspondence, Buckingham Palace, addressed to Grace.
The Queen and King!
I was blown away. I was like, is this legit? Is this real?
And it was real. A personalized letter from the head of royal correspondence, thanking the young girl on behalf of the royal family. According to Buckingham Palace's website, the king has shown almost all of the letters he receives and takes a keen interest in hearing from the public.
The fact that it noted her splendid drawing and that the king passed on his warmest wishes was unbelievably touching for her and for us.
Meanwhile, Grace says her favorite part has been her family's reaction.
Like being proud of me.
Kara Smap, CTV News, Kitchener.
Still ahead, teeing up Game 3 of the Cantera Seeds Cup as the SJHL Championship Series moves to Yorkton. Tonight's the night for Game 3 of the Cantera Seeds Cup. The Yorkton Terriers looking to use home ice to climb back in the series with the Flin Flon Bombers.
Gary, you know who's in there, 27. Back to Jakobsen, shot, rebound, Arbery scores!
The Bombers have a stranglehold on the series up to this point, outscoring the Terriers 10-3 in the first 2 games in Flin Flon. Yorkton needs at least 1 win at the Westland Arena either tonight or tomorrow to force the series back to the Whitney Forum. Puck drop is 7 o'clock. Another dominant win today for the Regina Pat Canadians at the TELUS Cup.
Okay. Schultz, Pugh, wrist shot, scores! Malachi Martin knocks.
That was the first of 7 goals for the Pat Seas, winning 7-0 over the Waterloo Wolves out of Ontario. Pat Seas goalie Adam Montaigne making 36 saves in the shutout victory. Regina is the lone undefeated team in the tournament through 3 games. Next action is tomorrow morning against the Chevalier de Lévis out of Quebec. The Toronto Raptors return to the practice court today ahead of a critical Game 3 at Scotiabank Arena tomorrow night. Toronto is looking to dig themselves out of a 2-0 hole in their first-round playoff series against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Allison Hurst has the details.
Raptors players stay loose, trying to shake off the first 2 losses in their 7-game series against Cleveland.
I'm confident that I won't miss all my shots, that I'll find a rhythm.
All-star Brendan Ingram, who was named the Eastern Conference Player of the Week earlier this month, stunned fans in a rough Game 2 outing by producing just 7 points.
I like to sit in disappointment for a little bit, just to, see where I went wrong, give myself some gratitude, think about the things that went well, and then get back into the fight. And
he says he still has confidence in his game and in his teammates.
He did not make his shots that he's usually making. I'll take those shots all over. I have utmost trust in this. We've seen it so many times this year that every time, and if he has a bad performance shooting wise, that he bounces back from that very quickly.
The team also spent some time analyzing games 1 and 2 with coach Darko Rajakovic, saying he's seeing improvement.
Expecting from us to be perfect right now would not be fair towards our team and the young core that we have. But when you look at big picture, how important those are and what are we learning through this, I'm telling you, our team is so much better now than 7 days ago. We already got so much better, and we're going to continue getting better.
Rookie Colin Murray-Boyle says focusing on facing one team game after game helps.
You're just locked in onto who the players are, who's on their team, what their tendencies trees are and stuff like that. So it really benefits a person like me, rookies, being able to soak up all that information.
They're also looking forward to playing for hometown fans.
They were super energetic. They were always very involved. They cared. And I think, it's a great atmosphere at home. So I saw how it was in Cleveland. I think our fans are better than Cleveland fans. So they're just going to come out there and give us that extra boost we need.
And hope to take the next one from the Cavaliers. The Raptors take on the Cavs tomorrow night, and then Game 4 is Sunday. Allison Hurst, CTV News.
Still to come, how high fertilizer costs could impact what some farmers are planning to grow this year.
Thanks for watching. Let's take a look at the rural forecast for tomorrow. If we take a look again, that rain is expected to come for much of the province. As for Meadow Lake, we will see a high of -1. Lloydminster will see a +1, Spiritwood -2. As for Kindersley, a little bit more sun in that area, +2 outlook as well. Watrous will see a +1, Melford a -2, Hudson Bay +2. As for Wynyard, a +1. If we take a look at Leader, +4, Maple Creek +6, Rosetown +2, East End Cypress +3, Assiniboia as well as Rockland +2, Lumsden as well, and Pilot Butte and Cornack. As for Kenora, we'll see +4, Broadview can expect to see +6, Carlisle +9. If we take a look at Bruno, we can see expected to see that heavy snow throughout the day. As for those wind speeds, 35 to 50 kilometer range. The temperature will be a high of -1, and with SaskTel, there are high internet speeds in that Bruno area. But again, that heavy snow is expected to come throughout the day, with that high being -1.
Today is Earth Day, and around the world, people are marking it by recycling electronics, turning off lights, and more. In Prince Edward Island, farmers are pushing back their hay harvest to help a threatened songbird. CTV's Maria Saru has more.
Walking their dogs in the morning is when the Mathesons start to notice the bobolinks are back. The couple farms more than 300 acres, and about 25 of them, including this field, are dedicated to delayed cutting.
This is our normal spring growth right now, but in the summer, the hay is about 2 feet high, and the bobolinks nest right down on the ground.
This is what it'll look like a few months from now. Across the island, nearly 60 landowners are holding off on their first cut of hay to give chicks more time to grow. Bobolinks have been listed as threatened under Canada's Species at Risk Act since 2017. And a federal status report says their numbers fell about 73% from 1970 to 2019, with habitat loss as one of the main reasons.
They love to sit and sing, and they love this tree.
It's not just happening here. Similar efforts to protect bobolinks are underway in other provinces, including Quebec and Ontario. Doing this can affect a farmer's bottom line. The Mathesons sell square bales to horse owners across the province. To help offset losses, PEI's Alice program offers about $25 an acre per year.
By supporting them, we're bringing back that habitat while not taking it out of agricultural production. So it's really a beautiful example of coming together, people and nature.
Canada is home to about a quarter of the global bobolink population during breeding season. So what happens in fields like this matters beyond one farm and even Canada's borders.
They're just fascinating, and they're fun to watch.
The Mathesons will hold off on cutting all this grass until mid-July or whenever the bobolinks leave the field. Maria Sru, CTV News, Albion Cross, Prince Edward Island.
New Farm Credit Canada analysis shows rising fertilizer prices driven by the war in Iran could reshape crop planting decisions in favor of lower input crops where possible. While most acreage is already committed, as much as 5.5 million acres across the country could still change. FCC said where the flexibility exists, the cost of fertilizer is expected to favor soybeans over corn and canola over wheat, while also upping the odds that some land is left unseeded. With that, let's take a look at your farm markets. The street price for canola was down about $4.40 today. However, the futures price up about 10 cents currently, just over $721 per ton. Street price for amber durum wheat remains unchanged at $278. Red spring wheat was down slightly to $288. Feed barley, no changes there, just over the $250 per ton mark. Same thing for flax, no change there at $630 per ton. Your money markets, the TSX was up 146 points today, regaining some losses from yesterday. Same for the Dow Jones, up 340 points to 49,490. The Canadian dollar was down slightly today to 73.14 cents US. As for commodities, gold was up almost $20 today. West Texas Intermediate crude jumped $3 per barrel, and Western Canadian Select crude was up $2.30 per barrel, surpassing that $70 mark. Gas prices per liter in Regina can most commonly be found at $158.9, but you could see as low as $143.9.
This time it's Air Transat scaling back, cutting hundreds of flights from its schedule. From May to October, flights will be reduced by 6%. That means fewer flights to Europe and the Caribbean, including Cuba. The company CEO says there is an exceptional environment affecting the entire sector. Both Air Canada and WestJet have done the same. Shares in Rogers Communications are spiking on news. The company is slashing spending by 30%. Rogers reported earnings and beat total revenue expectations, but the company CEO says it is reining in capital spending because of new regulations he calls punitive. Instead, the telecom will add to its free cash flow. Grocery chain Metro also reported earnings, with its second quarter profit coming in at $246 million. But the company warns a strike at its produce distribution center in Quebec will impact earnings for its next quarter. The higher cost of transportation will also be a factor. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
Coming up tonight on CTV, we have an episode of MasterChef right after the show ends here, followed by The Floor, then Shark Tank, The Big Bang Theory, E-Talk, and then your national news at 11 and your local news with Connor Chan at 11:30. Another thing you'll have a chance to watch on CTV a little later on this year is a chance to watch the beautiful game when the FIFA World Cup comes to Canada in just 50 days.
FIFA released a new block of last-minute tickets for all 104 World Cup matches this morning. Toronto is hosting 6 matches, including Canada's first-ever home game against Bosnia, on June 12th. Thanks, Cole. Vancouver is hosting 7 matches, including 2 in the knockout rounds.
All right, well, before the deal to sell itself to Paramount, Warner Brothers scrapped the release of a few movies that were already done filming. But one of those movies from the world of Looney Tunes is headed to theaters anyway.
Have you been horribly injured by a product made by the Acme Corporation?
It's not your fault. There's probably someone to blame. Name of the case?
Coyote vs. Acme tells the story of the legendary cartoon villain deciding to sue the company that provides him with the equipment he uses to chase the road runner. The movie stars Will Forte and John Cena. Variety reports it cost about $70 million to make, but Warner Bros. Opted not to release it in 2023, instead claiming it as a tax write-off. A different company acquired the rights, and it debuts August 28th. I love the Looney Tunes, so I'm excited.
Very exciting, especially when a movie's been on the shelf for almost 3 years and finally comes out.
Yes, the suspense is building up. It is calving season, speaking of coyotes, for many Saskatchewan producers. One shared a rare moment with us.
Tiff Stepp sent us this picture of triplet calves born on their ranch. The odds of a cow having triplets is about 1 in 105,000, and all 3 surviving is even more rare. These 3 are in the Estevan area, and all are said to be doing well. Very good to hear. Occasionally you can have twins with cows as well. A bit more common than triplets, but still not a everyday kind
occurrence.
of thing.
Yeah, well, that's good, and that all of them are living. That's a really good sign.
Very good sign.
Yeah.
Very good sign. And good luck to the rest of Saskatchewan's producers working through calving season tonight. That's all we have for you. Thanks for joining us. Take care.